نعمهم ومنكر فضائلهم أجمعين من يومنا هذا إلى يوم الدين. أما بعد فقد قال الله سبحانه وتبارك في كتابه الحكيم يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وكونوا مع الصادقين. صلاة على محمد وعلى محمد. Respected sisters and brothers, Assalamu alaikum jami'an wa rahmatullah. On the day of Friday, it is wajib to mention taqwa, to speak about taqwa, the consciousness, awareness, remembrance of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And as a necessary part of Salatul Jummah, this then begins, lets us begin the khutbah itself, the actual, the sermon or the speech that you want to have. And the continuation that we were going to do on from Risalatul Hukuk on the rights, I'm just going to take a little bit of another break, as I frequently or often do, and that is just to address the month of Shaban, which we are in. And of course, almost half of it will be done very soon, with Nisfa Shaban or Nimai Shaban, is when the 12th Imam's Wiladat or birth anniversary is celebrated. But if you look at the entire month, there's a number of special Wiladats or birth anniversaries that we celebrate in there. And many riwayat mention that Hazrat Zainab is in there, Hazrat Qasim is in there, in addition to the famous Imam Hussein, Hazrat Zain al-Abidin, Hazrat Abbas alayhi salatu wassalam. So in addition to that, and of course the 12th Imam in the middle of the month of Shaban. One of the things that we find is that this is the one month, and even if you look at the various narrations, as I have mentioned many times, both on the Mimbar and here, there are different death dates, different martyrdom anniversary dates for many of the Masubin. And even birth dates are also subject to discussion or review. But one of the things that has been sort of universally or unanimously acclaimed for the month of Shaban is that even amongst the Da'if riwayah, there is no known shahadat of any Masum in this month. So even if you look at any of the Da'if riwayah, the month of Shaban has got nothing but birth anniversaries in it, and not even doubtful ones. So what we find is, it's of course a very blessed month. It's a very barakah, a month of barakah, and a month of great grace. And this is the middle of now the what we call the spiritual season of ibadat, because the month of Rajab starts this chain of worship or trying to get closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The month of Rajab, Sha'ban, and then that brings us to the entrance of Shahr Ramadan al-Sharif, the holy month of Ramadan. And of course, the blessed month of Ramadan is one that has got the innumerable, uncountable bounties of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And so as a result, we get this training ground. And if you look at the training procedure that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala recommends us, and that is that if you are preparing yourself for the holy month of Ramadan, it's one thing to just come and enter the month of Ramadan and try and do all of this acts of worship and ibadat as to be done for that month. What the reason for that is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala realizes that we as insan, as the human beings, need what is called, we can call this as a warm-up. When you're going to the gym, then mashallah, I know many of you do go. You go to the gym, they first tell you, don't get into the hardcore activities, don't start the cardio, don't start this and that, don't do the immediate bench presses. First, you warm up, you lead to it. Whether you're an Olympic runner or a swimmer or you're doing something, you first lead up to it and then you start going there. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the months of Rajab and Shaban sort of gave us that opportunity and gave a lot of thawab and divine reward for fasting, for example, in the month of Ramadan, Rajab, Shaban. And the starting start. So, and if you look at it, there are different du'as, especially in the month of Rajab, after every salat, where you have to hold your chin and your beard and you move your right finger back side to side. And, Ya man arjuhu li kulli khair. So we are told to, give a little more time to our ibadat. I mean, of course, we all, mashallah, do our ibadat, we do our tasbihat, we do our dhikr, we do the du'as and what have you. But after that, then we are told that a little more encouragement is there. Do a little extra dua. And in the month of Shaban, we are encouraged as well. That, there are, various munajats and various duas to be recited. And in both of these months, Rajab and Shaban, we are told, if possible, first, second, third, 13, 14, 15, 27, 28, 29, to fast. Very, very strongly recommended. Very strong recommendations are there to now build up that warm-up session for the believer. So number one, we start doing more dhikr, du'as. Inshallah, recitation of the Quran should always be there, but we are encouraged to do more. Then we are told that there are other du'as in addition, so that when the month of Ramadan comes, we have warmed up, and so that is now the main, we can call, test. And in school, a lot of times during the first few weeks of a new term, the teacher will give you what? He'll give you a quiz. He won't give you a test right away. And before they give you, before children start, you're writing an essay, they'll tell them to write a paragraph. They'll tell them to write a page. They'll tell them to write a little bit. And then say, okay, here, now you have to do a 10-page essay or a 5-page essay, or you have to summarize this book and do a book review or a book report. And so you can imagine and understand and appreciate that, even the teachers don't go out and say, okay, you have to do this, the first year of grade 5, the first term of grade 5, they okay, do, a 20-page book report. They don't do things like that. They first warm you up, praise you, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who created insan, gave us those opportunities to begin fasting and begin to recite more du'as, begin to recite more Quran, begin to recite more dhikr, tasbihat. And if you look at the riwayat and the narrations, the thawab that we get in the month of Rajab and Sha'ban is not equivalent to that of Holy Ramadan, but it's built up to be greater than what it would be in other months. So right away the believers get an opportunity to start tasting the months of ibadat, the days of ibadat, and the actions of ibadat. And the reason why I mentioned fasting is because this is sometimes seen as a challenge. It might be sometimes easy to spend an extra 15, 20 minutes, half an hour to do extra du'as and tasbihat and to stay on the musalla or on the prayer mat. But to fast sometimes becomes, challenging or difficult in some people's minds. And that challenge or difficulty almost gets alleviated when you are starting to practice ahead of time. If somebody has not fasted since last Ramadan al-Sharif, and all of a sudden they start in the month of Ramadan, it becomes a bit of a challenge. It's difficult, and no doubt. And sometimes people have told me, oh yeah, but it's easier if it's in December, November, January, when the time is much earlier. In actuality, I've heard similar complaints from people in those winter months as I've heard in summer months. I've actually had somebody tell me, I find it much easier to fast in summer than in winter. I said, this doesn't make sense to me. I thought it was just me. He said, no, when you're fasting in the summer when it's long, then you can budget your time. You come home from work, you relax, you rest, you sleep for a little while, you do your du'as, you do, if you want to catch up on the newspaper and all that, and you relax, and then it's time to pray and break your fast or whatever, 8, 9, 10 o'clock, whatever the timing in different parts of Canada are. And then you go to sleep, you're ready for Sahri, so you've had your rest, you've had your work, you've done, and you do whatever your normal would be. When it's that months of December, November, December, and January, when the time is early, you come home from work, it's already, you're already late in your iftar, you're already late in your salat of Maghribain, and you haven't had a chance, and then you're lethargic after eating, so you get nothing done, you don't do anything. So, there have been different opinions expressed by the mu'mineen in the community that I have, spoken to. So what we're saying is it's not easy or difficult, whether it's winter or summer. Yeah, the number of hours will be less, no doubt, that is a reality. And so, but the challenges are still there. And Allah Ta'ala did not say that the thawab would be different for one who fasts longer or shorter than one who fasts shorter or longer. The thawab from Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala, inshallah, will be the same. The struggle will be different, and of course the divine reward will be based on the struggle as well. And so Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala gave us these opportunities to prepare ourselves. One of the things that I wanted to mention, as I said, that the month of Sha'ban is this the middle of this spiritual season. And whereby, mashallah, we've decorated it. May Allah reward the mu'mineen who took part in this. It took a number of hours for them to do this, mashallah, and I hope we do appreciate and commend them for that. They're not here today, right now. But we see that this gives us that feeling of the festive mood of the month of Sha'ban because of this. And of course, our ibadat is our festiveness. And our festivities are included in that ibadat. When the 12th Imam's birthday comes, and again, I don't want to give any prelude to what the speaker, inshallah, Sheikh Salim will be saying on that night. But one of the things that we do need to realize and remember seriously when the days are approaching closely to the 12th Imam's wiladat or birth anniversary is what have we done? What can we do? What state will we be in when the Imam returns? And the other day we had actually not the other day, yesterday morning we had our interfaith meeting here, the committee meeting, and so they were wondering why is it all decorated? It's not Eid, it's not this, it's not. And I was telling them, I said, no, it's not Eid, but we have another festival before that, the 12th Imam's birth anniversary, the Mahdi. I said, and just to make it easier, I said the Messiah. And so he says, oh, okay, then we got into a little bit of a discussion. The Messiah, who is that? Imam Mahdi. What's that? Well, he will be coming with Jesus Christ. Okay, so now you had something in common. Okay, so what's going to happen? As well, between the two of them, they're going to establish justice all over the world. And of course, this is something that when people look at the world today, they have a hard time trying to understand that how will, Imam Mahdi or Jesus Christ, alayhi salam, Prophet Isa, or how will anybody be able to create justice in a world that is so full of injustice, tyranny, oppression, destruction? And this is something that we were able to at least get some common ground. I said that, look, when the divine inspires, when the divine gives us the power and the ability, then there's no worldly power that can stop that progress. If Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala ultimately wants something to happen, and He has sent His servant and slave to do or to overthrow or to change an entire tyranny, there's no surprise in that. And I reminded them in the history of all religions. I mean, we have got numerous examples of what happened to Banu Umayyah, Banu Abbas, and the various other dynasties that came. And inshallah, we will see the same with the Wahhabis and the Salafis. And inshallah, very soon, we'll see what will happen to the American Empire as happened to the British Empire and what have you. But trying to relate to them at their language, when a non-Muslim is talking to you, when a Christian or a Jewish person is talking, then we have to bring the Bible, the biblical account, and the Quranic account, but the biblical and the Toraital account. I says, one man overthrew a dynasty. So what? So Moses, Nabiullah Musa alayhi salam. Allah told him, go. And of course, Hazrat Musa never complained, never said anything. Na'udhu billah, he was a prophet of Allah. He went. And he went to Fir'aun, confronted Fir'aun, told Fir'aun what the message of Allah was. And Fir'aun had a laugh. He says, you're trying to tell me what to do. You can imagine for a moment, Fir'aun and this lineage of Fir'auns that have been going on for hundreds of years is now being confronted. Amne samne, in front of you, somebody who's telling you, I'm going to overthrow you. And if you don't let my people go, there will be a punishment from God, from Allah. And so if one man, of course, God gave him the abilities. You see, one thing is to do the message. Yes, Hazrat Musa asked for help. He asked for Hazrat Harun to go because of the slight stutter that he might have had, or whatever the riwayah mentioned that he asked for the comfort of Hazrat Harun to go with him. But ultimately, Allah gave him once the messenger, the prophet, the imam, the wali, the wasi, whoever has been designated or delegated by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to do a job, then the tools are provided by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And if you look at the tools that were provided by Allah Ta'ala, and these discussions become very interesting. Allah Ta'ala could have, in one snap, created a huge earthquake, completely annihilated Fir'aun and Ale Fir'aun and all the Egyptians, and survived with the Bani Israel. And that's it, the matter is over. There's no going there, being chased, this, that, and the other. All of that could have been avoided if one earthquake came, and they all turned to stone, or they all were destroyed, and that's it, finished. You don't have to go through all of these difficulties. Ya Allah, may I suggest that? Allah Ta'ala says, you be quiet. This is not your responsibility, this is not your business. I am Allah, I am the creator, my infinite wisdom is what will be entailed. And so here Allah Ta'ala says, Hazrat Musa goes to him and asks him first. Fir'aun laughs it off. He says, no, go. And then the things become a little more serious. Okay, the asa, the cane is thrown down. The staff is thrown down, it becomes a snake, and then Fir'aun brings his, then the water turns to blood, whatever, all of the ayat, the 9 signs the Quran Majid talks about in Surah Bani Israel. One by one, he changes and then goes back, changes and goes back. And all of this could have been avoided. But there's also a very deep message in here. If you look at what the commentators have said. He says, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is, of course, merciful and compassionate, and gives even Fir'aun a chance to change his ways and to rectify himself. Even an evil tyrant who claimed to be himself God gets an opportunity from God to change. Allah could have done one thing very quickly, and the whole matter would have been so, but that's not the way it goes. So it takes time. And that is why the riwayah mentioned to us, when the 12th Imam comes, sometimes we ourselves have in our minds that Imam Mahdi Ajallahu Ta'ala Dhuhr will come, and Allahumma salli ala. Imam will come and the very next day everything will be established and everything will be. It's not like that. It's not that the Imam will come today and tomorrow everything will be nice and clean and pure and all the oppression. No, no, no. It's going to start on a certain day. And then the movement will go. The Imam will go through the normal procedures and the process that even the Anbiya before him went through, like Hazrat Musa, Hazrat Ibrahim, and of course Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. All of them went through these procedures and processes. And some riwayah have actually mentioned, because when I was in Qom, this was one of my areas of specialization. I said that the riwayah have mentioned that it may take 70 years. Some have said 7 years for all of this to go transfer until the utopia is established. 7 years, 70 years, Allahu Alam. How many years, Allah knows. But it'll be a process whereby people will be coming and going. Some will change, some will leave, as happened in the events of Karbala, as has happened to the Prophet. Those who came, they saw, they liked it, they stayed. Some said, okay, we're going to stay, but we're going to destroy it from inside, the munafiqeen. Some said, no, you don't want it. And so, whether you look at any movement, you see that happening. So with the 12th Imam, there's no difference. It's not that he's going to come and the next day everything is fine. No, no, no. He'll start in Makkah and then he'll clean Makkah and then go to Medina. And one teacher of mine gave a very beautiful explanation of this. The Imam will start in Makkah. Once Makkah has been purified, then he'll go to Medina, then he'll purify Medina, and then he'll go to other places, and then he'll establish his capital in Kufa. We have not been told how long this will take. But the message that is clear is that the house cleaning, the cleaning begins from the house. The cleaning begins at home. He's not going to start attacking the non-Muslim countries and start, cleansing those places and all the superpowers and knock them out, and then no, no, no. It starts from home. And that is why we have been told, let's clean ourselves first, our families first, make ourselves better, make our families better, make our homes better, our extended and immediate families, and then we go out and try and do some work for poverty eradication, whatever else we want to try and achieve. And so the Imams, the narrations that pertain to the Imam are along the same lines. The Imam will come and clean Makkah first, the holiest place in Islam, then Medina, the second holiest place in Islam, and then the movement will go around, and after that, inshallah. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Inna a'tainaka al-Kawthar, fasalli li rabbika wanhar, inna shaniyaka huwa al-abtar. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين خالق السماوات والأرض إلها واحدا أحدا صمدا لم يتخذ صاحبة ولا ولدا والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين خاتم النبيين رحمة للعالمين طه وياسين بالقاسم محمد وصلي على وصي رسول رب العالمين وأمير المؤمنين وإمام المتقين وقاتل الكافرين والمشركين مولانا علي بن أبي طالب محمد وصلي على بنت رسول رب العالمين سيدة النساء العالمين صديقة الطاهرة أم الأئمة فاطمة الزهراء وسلم على ست نبي الرحمة وسيدي شباب أهل الجنة إمام الحسن والحسين اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد والأئمة المسلمين علي بن الحسين سيد العابدين صلى محمد وآل ومحمد بن علي الباقر من النبيين اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وجعفر بن محمد الصادق البار الأمين اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وموسى بن جعفر الكاظم اللهم صل على محمد وعلي بن موسى الرضا المرتضى اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد ومحمد بن علي التقي الجواد اللهم صل على آل محمد وعلي بن محمد النقي الهادي اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد والحسن بن علي الزكي العسكري والإمام القائم الحادي المهدي المنتظر اللهم صل على وآل محمد. اللهم عجل فرجه وقرب زمانه وكثر انصاره واهلك اعداءه. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. اللهم كن لوليك الحجة ابن الحسن صلواتك عليه وعلى آبائه في هذه الساعة وفي كل ساعة ولي وقاعدا وناصرا ودليلا وعينا حتى تسكنوا أرضك طوعا وتمتع فيها طويلا برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آله. أما بعد فقد قال الله سبحانه وتبارك في كتابه الحكيم يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وكونوا مع الصادقين. Once again, I remind myself and the believers to observe the taqwa of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to be conscious and wary, which is a necessary part of Salatul Jummah. One of the unfolding events that I was studying this morning was the discussions between the leaders of the two Koreas, North Korea and South Korea, on this demilitarization and hopefully, inshallah, someday denuclearization. And inshallah, as events come out, I'm sure that we'll get a chance to discuss that. But as the discussions go forward, another interesting comment was made by Secretary Mattis in the U.S., whereby he said that we have not decided to come out of this joint comprehensive plan of actions, the nuclear agreement that was signed with the Islamic Republic and the P5+1. And it's been interesting that the contradicting comments, which have been actually since the beginning of this new administration, have been almost comical if they weren't so serious. They would have been almost hilarious if they didn't have so much of an impact on so many countries in the world. And it seems now, up until just a few months ago, all of the European countries are actually giving very strong statements in full support of the plan of action of the agreement. And also, they, trying to convince the American authorities that this is the best we have got. This is the best we've negotiated. It took 2 years of very, very strenuous negotiations, and it actually gave them an opportunity for all the countries to at least sit down and talk. And one of the things that I wanted to mention, and perhaps I have not said this before, but one of the important aspects, and then when we were, if any of you were following it, because I was watching this very closely, and I remember getting the news at Fajr time that the agreement on that 20th of July, that it was signed, and up until I went to sleep, there was no finalization. And I remember waking up at Fajr time that, okay, the deadline was over, didn't happen, and all of a sudden I see the news, and I said, no, it was signed, it was middle of the night for us. And the thing that I wanted to highlight was the fact that any agreement, whether it is a good agreement or bad agreement or a medium or a neutral agreement, there needs to be discussion and conversations with those you like as well as those you don't like. And until and unless one can, whether you're at a country or a national level or whether you're at an individual level, you can never achieve anything if you refuse to speak to somebody. Of course, there are examples when somebody is completely beyond the scope of human discussion. That's different. But one of the things that we have found is that the Prophet himself, the lives of the A'immah and the Ahlul Bayt, you see this on numerous, and I can probably say uncountable instances, whereby they had to deal with, and in some cases actually assist, those who are bent on destroying them, killing them, their reputations, those who are tarnishing the reputation of the A'immah, yet they were still there to help them out if the need arose. And that's why, it started out with Umar when he said, "Lawla aliyan halakal Umar." If it wasn't for Ali alayhi salam, Umar would have been destroyed. If you look at how Imam Muhammad Baqir helped the Umayyads when it was the coin currency issue, and you see how Imam Hassan al-Askari had helped during the famine of the, in the Abbasid time. So every Imam, whenever the necessity arose, was at least willing to cooperate if need be, if the ummah benefits from there. And I think this is something that we really need to learn and take a strong example and a lesson from, that the deal was that best that could be done. It was the deal that all these countries got together and basically signed together. And the funny thing was, everybody left unhappy, if you want to call it that. And why I'm saying that is, If there was a deal where some were happy and others were unhappy, then you know that that deal wasn't good. If there was a deal that everybody was happy, there's something funny there. But this is a deal that nobody was fully happy, but it was the best that could be negotiated, and everybody had to give and take. And so one of the things that the Iranian officials, and even Dr. Zarif himself has mentioned, is that if this deal is withdrawn by the United States or the European countries, or France has been saying we want to renegotiate, there's no renegotiation. The deal falls, the deal falls. It collapses, and Iran then has the full right to enrich uranium at whatever level or percentage that they want, and they can develop whatever they wish. Although we know that Imam Khamenei's fatwa is very clear on this issue of any weapon of mass destruction, but at least they've got the door open. And I've said this in private conversations before, that every country has the right to defend themselves in whichever way they feel is necessary. And oftentimes when you are at a point where you cannot defend yourselves, that's when the oppressors will attack you. If you look at students who get bullied in school, who are they? They are the ones who may not be able to defend themselves. So if you train yourself, you develop yourself, and you have got self-defense, and you know that you can protect your own dignity and your own status and situation, do you ever hear about a bully who is, mashallah, 5'10", who's got muscles and biceps that are, mashallah, like any of yours here, not like mine? Have you seen any of or heard of them being bullied? You'll say, no, of course not. Who wants to bully somebody who can knock them down? So you can see that the same applies at a national or a country level, that a country that is strong enough, a country that is able to defend itself, will rarely be attacked, because the attacker will know, or the so-called or the to-be attacker will know, that this is not something that we can succeed in. The last thing that I wanted to conclude with, and again, coming to my meeting yesterday morning, one of the Mennonite pastors actually had gone to Iran. We have this Muslim Mennonite exchange and dialogue, whereby he actually went and taught at the Hawza Ilmiya in Qom, and some students from Qom have come to Canada in the past and have taken studies at the Lutheran Seminary and the Mennonite College. And he was saying, he had just come back from Qom last week, and it was interesting because he said, every time I go there, I'm amazed. And this is coming from a Canadian or an American-born, Western, educated Western individual. It's always surprising. He says that I'm always fascinated, what the perception in people's minds is of Iran and what actually is there are two totally different things. And he was actually thinking seriously of taking a group of his co-professors and let them see the Islamic Republic of Iran for themselves, and see, until you experience it firsthand, you will not be able to make a concrete decision as to what each country has got. So instead of shutting doors and building walls and trying to shut out those people you don't want to deal with or listen to, perhaps the world would be a lot better if we all try to negotiate with each other and try to build these barriers and bridges, and roadways and pathways, as opposed to barriers and walls. And I think that would be something that our leaders and our administrators need to, inshallah, learn from and speak about. We pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on this day of Jummah to accept our amal and our deeds. And as the Nimai Shaban, the 15th of Shaban, Nisfa Shaban is coming, we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to accept our ibadat, our amal, and make us closer to the Imam of our time, inshallah, and to be able to do what the Imam expects us to do while he's in occultation, and to stay with him closely when he returns in his dhuhr, inshallah. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. قل هو الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد. Please fill the first row. That'll be